Howdy-ho there, folks. It's me again. Thought I would take a moment or two to talk. So, there was a question asked on the Brigade forums on Facebook that caught my interest, and I thought I would address it. So, there is a question of, what is your favorite RPG? Now, the forum was remarkably civil on this point. I've seen some not civil discussions on that point, but this one was good. So I thought it was worth talking about, because honestly, the answer that you give is, well, it's weird to sort of figure out what you're talking about when you say your favorite. So, my favorite is Dungeons and Dragons. Now, well, some people will say, well, that's because you're, an old school guy, and I am an old school guy to a certain extent, but that does not mean that that is, how to put this? Does not actually mean what you think it means. My point here is that I like Dungeons and Dragons the most. It is my favorite, not because it is the best written. There are better design systems. It's not because it's the one I started with, though that's certainly part of it. Nostalgia is a powerful force. Anyone who denies that isn't paying attention. No, the thing that I like about Dungeons and Dragons is its ubiquity. It is the lingua franca of gamers. And this is not to say that it's the best. Like I said, there are probably some better design systems. In fact, I will flat out say there are better design systems than Dungeons and Dragons. It got there first, and the current version is just an iteration of what has gone down the line for 30 years. Or, God, more than 30 years. Anyways, yeah, long time. It's all D&D, right? Your various editions, they're all D&D. That's fine. But if I go to any given gaming space and say I want to run a game and I want to run D&D, almost everyone knows what expectations are set. Almost everyone understands what I mean by someone is lawful good. Almost everyone knows what hit points are. In a gaming sense, in the gaming community, obviously, if I do that to some guy who's never been to a tabletop game, they won't know. But even a lot of them will understand the base concepts because they got translated over into various video games they played. But, if I go to any gamer and say, I want to play a first level D&D game, they have their expectations set. I don't have to work on that. I don't have to explain to them how the rules work, or the rules of my, even people who play other editions, I don't have to do a whole lot of explanation. I can, here are a few differences, but I don't have to change their expectations overall. I can't say that about a lot of other games. I mean, I love Fate. Fate's one of my favorite games. But I know gamers who've never played it. So if I started a game of Fate, I'd have to explain the expectations. And there would be a transition period as people began to understand those expectations. Some people just wouldn't be interested. But it's a lot harder to find gamers that are not interested in D&D than it is to find gamers who are not interested in, say, Fate or Cortex or Cypher or any of the other later systems. And that's why. It is ubiquitous. It is a common language that almost every gamer understands. All of these things lead me to the understanding that D&D is a go-to game. Now, the fact that it's also easily hackable, I can make lots of different versions of D&D. I at one point talked about White Star, which is really an iteration of D&D in space. It's sci-fi D&D. It's the same core concepts as D&D, just in space. I've seen modern, D20 Modern, Urban Arcana. Those are D&D in modern day. They made D20 Future. One of my favorite game settings was written for D20 Future. That was Dawning Star, which was, again, D&D base that you've hacked. So it's a very hackable system. It flows reasonably well. It's easy to understand. But mainly, it's the fact that it is so easy to talk about with other gamers without me having to first go back and set all of their expectations to match whatever the new system may be. That's important. That's why it's my favorite. There are certainly a lot of games that I can point at and say, no, this one delivers a particular experience better. But this one is the basic understanding of role-playing games, and therefore it is the easiest for me to work with. Anyway, I'd be interested to hear what other people's thoughts on their favorite RPG and why. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe, like, share with all the peoples. Go to Patreon, back me if you feel up to it. I completely understand if you don't feel up to it. It's kind of, everybody's watching their money. We always are. But if you have the time, have a few bucks that you can toss my way, I won't complain. That's all. But if you can't, that's fine. I'm going to keep making these anyway. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good time and stay out of trouble.